What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. This is one of the last episodes in this series before we come back and do kind of a checkup or kind of an overview after a few weeks or months. Whenever Jake and Megan want us to come back and they think the work has been done, everything will be in place for the kind of final video. But today we're going to be tackling what we call the Spanish Vista corner. So the Spanish Vista corner is kind of more of your dry loving plants, more of your kind of desert, low maintenance plants. And we're really going to be planting this out with a lot of other kind of more perennial plants that might be a little bit more European, because the European plants are kind of their main focus for what they want this house to look like. But like we talked about in the intro, that with the Spanish, kind of the Spanish influence with the stucco and the way this sunroom is here, we really wanted to incorporate just some Spanish style flowers. So one of those ones that we really grabbed, that we absolutely loved in terms of bedding flats, this Portulaca. So Portulaca is also otherwise known as desert rose. I really love how this works here. And basically you plant these out and they essentially act as a ground cover. So they'll fill out really nicely and they flower all season long. We got this one in a yellow, which kind of also blends really well with the white of the house. And then we also grabbed here some intermixed colors here. This is known as the Happy Hour Deep Red Portulaca. And so these are going to go in here as a bedding flat. The other things that we're going to do is we're going to plant some alliums. Now alliums are kind of, they're a little more European, but they're also really going to fill out, really add volume to the bed that doesn't have to have a whole lot of maintenance, because you really can't kill the onions here. So that's what we're going to use here, is this Millennium Ornamental Chive. They've got these amazing purple flowers in midsummer there. And as they mature, they'll flower every single year. They'll come back, again, really low maintenance. This whole yard here, or this whole kind of Spanish Vista corner, the goal was to get low maintenance stuff, still while embracing kind of the reason this house was built, kind of the inspiration behind this house. Another plant that we chose was actually peonies. So I've got the peonies over here. My apologies, not peonies, dahlias. And so these dahlias are really nice, kind of almost a, you could imagine these on top of like a festival hat for women. You know, these are really beautiful flowers, and they'll they'll look really good with the moss rose, or the desert rose that we have chosen. One of the last, or second to last, is this amazing rust-colored Coleus. I absolutely love Coleus. It's something that I think is not loved enough. It's actually a member of the basil family. Coleus is a really hardy plant. It takes a ton of beating. You really cannot kill this stuff. And what's really nice is as you clip it back, it gets bushier and bigger. So this is called Campfire Coleus. We've got 10 of these here. This is going to be a really good filler plant. That's kind of going to be not quite the main focal point, but it's going to tie into the red brick on the front of the house that we kind of want to just have a hint of on the side yard. And then the very last that we have here is our hydrangeas. So these hydrangeas are beautiful. They're very European. They're something that pretty much every European house has. And these are going to fill out, bush out, and give a lot of volume to the bed, all the while kind of just giving you year-round blooms. So in the wintertime, people leave the blooms on. It's kind of just a dry bloom. You can take those in the house as well. But then during this summer, they'll be either blue or pink depending on the pH of your soil. All right, and the very final thing that I wanted to talk about is just some things that we're doing to repurpose what they already had. As I stated, we really had a ton of great quality plants here. They just weren't all in the right places. So one of the things we did is we pulled up all of the hostas, cataloged them, saw how many we had, and we actually started using them as more of a bed border. And that bed border is really going to fill out. It's going to be super beautiful once it's all full, and that's going to continue going all the way to the back there. Another thing that we had was actually some peonies. Peonies are this beautiful perennial flower that opens up and just almost looks like a water lily that's growing on dry land. So we got some peonies. Those are very European as well. Nice purple tones. And then also the final thing that we had that we're working with were some blue irises. Now irises are absolutely gorgeous. They typically like more damp soil, but the nice thing with irises is that they spread. So much like a Dahlias, or much like a hosta spreads, so do irises, and they'll fill out a space and really take up that space without having to spend any more money, which is nice for those of you that are on a budget. So with that being said, I think it's time to get planting. We got a lot to do. We started pulling these out, and what we're going to do, instead of rather than throwing them out, we're actually going to repurpose them by putting them along this white fence here. It's going to be beautiful because as they fill out, like these ones have in the back here, what happens is the flowers get so heavy that they cascade down, and against a white fence like that, it's going to add a real nice dynamic where it's not just a two-dimensional planting. It's really going to kind of flow out into the yard and be a little bit more showy. So it also is going to give that really European look to the fence line that's going to kind of tie the whole house together. One of the things I think is really important to walk you guys through that I do see a lot of people making a mistake of is, as we talked about with the front, is the 6-foot rule. Anytime you're planting a fully established, well, a plant that will be a fully established plant, and it might get more than 6 feet in diameter, say a tree or a large shrub, or like those cedar bushes there, you always want to keep them about 6 feet away so that as they grow, they don't grow into the house. Not only is that going to damage the siding of the house, but also it looks really bad because instead of growing out and being nice, even, and uniform, it's instead really oblong because half of it's shoved up against the house. So that's really important. It's called the 6-foot rule. Just abide by it, or even a little bit more than 6 feet, but just make sure that everything's proportionate and you should be fine. The other rule that I see a lot of people breaking is what's called layering. Now you want to layer from the tallest plant down to the smallest plant being your ground cover, because you don't want a tall plant in the front blocking all the sun from the back of the bed, because then what's going to happen is the plants in the back of the bed aren't going to grow. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of decide which plants we want. We planted the hydrangeas along the back there. There is some kind of lower light hostas that we're deciding to leave in, and there's also some irises in the back. Now those will get about 1.5 to 2 feet tall. The hydrangeas will get really nice and large and bush out. They'll be about 2.5, 3 feet tall at max height, and you can always prune them down and keep them compact. That's another thing to remember. If you need something to stay a certain height, just prune it and make sure you stay on pruning it, and it'll be fine. The next layer on top of that, now as you can see, we've got our kind of our bed situated in terms of the plant height. The next thing that's going to go in is actually this Coleus. The Coleus is, like I said, in the basil family, so it'll grow as large as you let it get, but as you begin to top it, you can keep it at right around 1 foot tall, and it'll begin to really bush out and fill out nicely. Along with that, we're also going to plant our onions. Now these onions can be divided up. We're probably going to divide these up in half so you can save money. You don't have to buy as many, and they'll just keep growing and multiplying. These onions, they have a really low foliage, but a really tall flower. So to keep things in kind of in tune with how we're planting, these are going to be treated just like our kind of our mid-story plants, just like our Coleus, as well as these Dahlias here. These are going to be mid-level plants that are going to be planted just in front of the hydrangeas, but not right in the front along these hostas. We're going to keep anything around these hostas to be pretty much our ground cover plants, and our ground cover plants being our Portulaca. All right, quick cameo from Megan here. We're just doing a quick check-in. Obviously, we've all been working pretty hard, but Megan's the one that's going to look at this and either find enjoyment or find hatred in it. So we kind of want to check in, see how things are going. What do you think?
I absolutely love it. I think it's so cool that we were able to use what we had already and just transport. We still don't know what those are called, but I love that they were here and now lining that fence. I think that was a perfect idea. Yeah,
I was actually, sometimes when you see things for the first time, I envisioned it would look good, but I actually did not envision it looking as good as it does.
Yeah,
I think it looks awesome.
And then I'm excited for the pops of color we're about to put in. I think that'll be great.
What do you think, Jake?
Loving it.
What's kind of
some good hard work?
What's your favorite part so far? Obviously aside from just family time bonding, but what's your favorite part about
Honestly,
today?
Pulling everything out and setting it aside and resetting, bringing order to it. I think that's the most satisfying part of it.
Yeah, and that's what we're kind of saying in the beginning is there was so much potential. There was so much potential, but it was one of those things that the potential couldn't really be truly seen with the way it was right then and there. It was kind of all scattered around, and there really wasn't any rhyme or reason to where things were or why they were there in the first place. And so it's kind of nice to be able to put things back in the way they should be. So
yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna start putting stuff in the ground. We got some pretty substantial amounts of bedding flats that go in, so we're losing some sunlight, so we got to go. All right, see you guys in a few. All right, so there we go. That's a good full day of work. We couldn't really plant everything we needed, but you know what? That's what we're coming back for, to really see after everything is grown, stress is gone, and things are mulched in. And so everything is pretty much gonna stay the way that it is for the next couple days until they can plant the rest, because we only had as much time as we had. So so far though, looking pretty good. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I hope you guys stay tuned for the follow-up video. And again, thank you so much to Jake and Megan for allowing us to come out here and do this to their property. It's been an honor. So, all right, catch you guys on the next episode. Go big or go home. Bye.